How's it going out there tonight? Whoa.
You stumped me now.
Check out our website, mannimaleresearch.com. Thanks to everybody. Hello. How's it going out there? Want to thank everybody for stopping by and clicking on our video here. Another episode of Mannimal Encounters. All right, this one this week was sent in by a gentleman named Tom from up in Ohio. We got some pretty good feedback from our first one. So like I said, guys, we are going to continue doing these, but in order to do that, we need to get you guys to send in some more encounters. Send them to mannimalencounters@yahoo.com. Of course, you guys know that we are primarily a Bigfoot show, but if you've watched the last couple of weeks, we do talk about other things. We had Ruben on this past Sunday talking about the UFOs, and had Dev on talking about Dogman, and we'll talk about anything, guys. So if you got any stories that you'd like to share, send them over to mannimalencounters@yahoo.com. We sure would appreciate it. All right. All of that being said, talk a little bit about tonight's encounter. It's actually two encounters sent in by one individual. It was an encounter that he had, and then his father's encounter, but it was on the same property in Ohio. And I think they're both really, really good. So all of that being said, we'll just go ahead and get into them. Hello, my name is Tom, and I wanted to share mine and my father's sightings with you. I grew up in central Ohio with my dad. We lived on a 35-acre lot in the middle of farm country. The lot consists of a 3-acre yard where the house is and 32 acres of woods. The sightings were both in the woods. The property is surrounded by other farm fields and other lots of woods. I'm 37 now, but when I was around the age of 15, my father and I went bow hunting. It was in the fall, and I was in my tree stand. The part of the woods I was in was narrow, with a bean field on my left and a grass field on my right. The grass field was just outside of the right side of the woods. My dad decided to go further back into the woods, and I was to wait on him to come to me before we headed back to the house at the end of our hunt. I had taken doe urine and made a trail of it from the grass field to my stand in hopes of bringing in a big buck. I'd been in the stand for a few hours, and it got dark on me. It was a full moon, and the woods were pretty lit up. I was sitting in my stand, waiting on my dad to come get me. I noticed movement toward the grass field, just inside of the woods. I watched something that looked like a very large human make its way from the grass field, following the same trail I had put the doe urine. It was so odd because when this thing moved, it made no noise, none at all. I've been in the woods a million times, and no matter how hard I try, I always make noise. This didn't. It would walk a few steps and then stop and stick its head up in the air, like it was smelling the air. It did this until it came underneath my tree stand. I was scared crapless, LOL. Once it came Once it came out from under my stand, I walked through the bean field and into another. I'm sorry. Once it came out from under my stand, it walked through the bean field and into another small lot of woods where I was unable to see it anymore. About 10 to 15 minutes later, I saw my dad's flashlight coming from the back of the woods, and he got me, and we went home. That was my experience with what I believe to be a Bigfoot. Wow. Fast forward about 10 years ago. Once again, it was fall. My dad calls me one evening and he didn't sound right. I asked him what was wrong, and he told me that he had been in a ground blind in the same woods that I had my experience now hunting. He said he heard a ton of racket and seen a small doe running and panting like it was being chased. The doe kept stopping and looking behind it. The deer finally took off, and Dad was looking through his scope in the same direction the deer came from. And what he said, was the scariest thing he's ever seen to date. He continued to tell me that in his scope he saw a Bigfoot leaning against a tree. He said the color of it was like the fall leaves, the orange and reddish color. He said it had really deep eye sockets, and he could even see its teeth. He said the teeth were not sharp, but they were ground down. He estimated it to be anywhere from 7 to 8 feet tall. He said the face reminded him of Worf from Star Trek, the Klingon guy, if you know who I'm talking about. He said the face wasn't hairy at all, really, like the rest of it was. That evening, my dad watched this thing for 22 minutes through his scope till it finally walked off into the direction that it came. My dad, scared, sat in his blind for almost 2 hours until he felt it was safe to go back to the house. That's when he called me and told me about what happened. He now carries a .44 Magnum on his side when he goes into the woods. Now, I was also wondering about the screams. Before I moved out at 18, we would always in the evening times hear screams, like blood curdling, women getting slaughtered in the woods screams. The scariest sound I've ever heard. Just wondering if that was a common vocalization sound that they make. Thank you for your time, and sorry about the long stories. I love your channel and programs, by the way. Take care. Wow. If your dad sitting there watching it for 22 minutes, he got a really good look at these things, and I'm pretty envious of that. He did get some good descriptions on the face, talking about the deep set eye sockets and the teeth not being sharp. So I guess I'm assuming it didn't have canines. He didn't see canines, but I guess filed down flat teeth, more like ours. That's interesting. But to answer your question about the screaming, again, I don't claim to be any kind of expert. You will never hear me say that. I don't think an expert exists. I've said that a million times. I don't think there are experts in this community, in this field of research, but it has been reported more than a couple of times about about these screams that sound like a woman being attacked or a woman being hurt. So yeah, that is pretty common. But pull that encounter back up. Yeah, his as for the first encounter, man, could you imagine being 15 years old and sitting in your tree stand and having something like a Bigfoot walk up underneath your tree stand and oh man, just having the ability to sit there motionless and not make a sound while something that terrifying is just standing underneath your stand and then just walks away. And then your dad's encounter where he sat there for 22 minutes looking at this thing through his scope. He was able to get some really good detail, and I appreciate that. I appreciate it, Tom. This is the way that we're all going to learn about these things is hearing what people that have witnessed them themselves, hearing them talk about it, and hearing what they have to say. That because until we have one in in a lab somewhere, dead or alive, hopefully alive, this is the kind of stuff we're going to have to lean on to get our knowledge from. But yeah, thanks, Tom. Appreciate it so much, buddy, for taking the time to write that out. Don't worry about the length. Length wasn't that bad. Um, yeah, guys, y'all don't worry about the length either. I don't care how long, how short. Guys, just include as much detail as you can, like Tom did. Great job, buddy. I appreciate you sharing. All right. All of that being said, I want to remind everyone about our live episodes that we do every week with Walls and myself. Sunday night, 8 o'clock. We did one just last night with Mr. Rubin, and we will have another one coming up this Thursday. So we go Sunday night at 8 p.m., Thursday night at 9 p.m. It's every week on YouTube under Mannimal Research. And guys, head over and check out our website as well, mannimaleresearch.com. If you haven't done so, guys, hit that subscribe button. Sure would appreciate it. But as far as this segment, what we're doing, Mannimal Encounters, guys, I can't stress it enough that we aren't going to be able to keep doing this and bringing these things to you without more encounters. So no matter how relevant you think they are, it's like one of my favorite podcasts out right now. Gentleman says, if you see something, say something. So yeah, just get them turned into us, guys. All of that being said, I will say goodbye and see you next time. Thank you guys so much for stopping by and hanging out with me. Be good to each other, guys. See ya.